Hello, beautiful soul. Thank you very much for joining me today. Today I'm going to be addressing three main challenges in self-acceptance due to childhood trauma and how to heal them. Thank you very much for joining me and joining this channel. If you are here, I'm going to be free to assume that you have experienced some kind of trauma, neglect, abuse in your childhood, and you've been guided here to hear certain wisdom so you can absorb and you can heal and free yourself from negative beliefs, limiting beliefs, pain and suffering that you might be experiencing at this time in your life. I'm also assuming if you are here, you're also going through some kind of awakening process. You're awakening to your potential, to your power, and something inside of you is nagging you to look into your childhood trauma and see how you can heal, how you can free yourself from other people's really projections onto you and free yourself from, as I said previously, from pain and suffering. So I'm going to mention three main challenges. There are many, three main ones, and I'm going to give you some tips how to actually heal and how to go around them. So the first and big one is internalized shame and feelings of low self-worth. That's not surprising. Early experiences of criticism, neglect, or emotional invalidation can create deep-rooted feelings of unworthiness, making self-acceptance almost impossible. And the reason for it is when we are born, when we are reincarnated into our beautiful bodies, we are completely self-assured. I mean, have you ever seen a baby or a very young child who is not self-assured? It's not possible. So what happens further down the line, if you have experienced any kind of abuse, any kind of neglect, any kind of if you were given conditional love that has some kind of conditions attached to it, or if you've experienced neglect, like emotional, if you didn't have parents or carers who are emotionally available to you, then you have naturally started to develop unhealthy ego that told you that you are not good enough, that you are not worthy of love, and you are not worthy of abundance, prosperity, or anything like that, really. And with that trauma, with that abuse comes shame. It's deeply rooted in any child and any other adult who has experienced childhood trauma. And that shame is as a child you have learned that you are not good enough. So there is a huge shame attached to it. You are hiding now yourself. You are hiding your authentic self as a grown-up because you truly, honestly believe that there is something fundamentally wrong with you, and you are ashamed of yourself. You are not only you're ashamed of yourself as your being, you're also ashamed to say that you were abused. You're ashamed to be seen as a victim, perhaps, because subconsciously you are thinking, if you are seen as a victim, if you were abused, if you say that you were abused, then that the subconscious belief thinks that other people will think that you are worthy of being abused, that you are, that something really really wrong with you. And that's so deeply rooted that sometimes it's extremely challenging for many survivors to actually come out and allow themselves to be seen so they can free themselves. So the way to actually go about it is to practice self-compassion by speaking to yourself with kindness, to challenge negative self-talk with affirmation, and to engage in inner child work to offer love and reassurance to your younger self. Also, in those instances, it's very beneficial to speak to a therapist that you trust, to spiritual guide that you trust, because those emotions can be sometimes quite challenging, I feel, because shame can be rooted on such a deep level that we honestly believe that something is fundamentally wrong with us, that we are wrong as human beings. That's of course not true. It's a projection of people that we have met in our childhood, and it's a projection of our unhealthy ego that we were actually forced, so to speak, to adopt and to create so we can survive our childhood. But now that we are grown up, it's absolutely okay for us to allow ourselves to say those beliefs are not true, those beliefs are illusions, and at the end of the day they're just beliefs, and as such they can always be changed. And they can be changed, as I've said, by practicing complete self-acceptance. That's absolutely crucial. Self-acceptance, unconditional self-acceptance, self-love, to acknowledge with courage and dignity what happened, and to admit to yourself finally once and for all that what happened to you when you were a child was not your fault, and there is absolutely nothing wrong with you, and there is nothing shameful about you. Now, another challenge in self acceptance is fear of rejection and fear of abandonment. When love was conditional in childhood, self-acceptance felt really, really risky, because you truly felt if you show up as your authentic self, you would not survive. Really, that's what children truly do believe on subconscious level. So we had to reject ourselves, abandon ourselves in hope that we're gonna be accepted, and that rejection and abandonment fear follow us up into the adulthood. So to heal this, well, we need to build self-validation. So we need to self-validate rather than asking and searching for validation outside of ourselves. By acknowledging, so we self-validate by acknowledging our worth without need for external approval. Second one is to set healthy boundaries and cultivate relationship with those who support our authenticity. If we are surrounding ourselves with people who are not supporting our authenticity, what we are saying to ourselves, what message we are actually giving to ourselves, is that our authenticity isn't worth knowing, isn't worth seeing. So we are still hiding, and that hiding is extremely tiring. It's debilitating. It can be totally exhausting. So fear of rejection and abandonment by society, by friends, by colleagues, by partner is real. It really is real, but we don't want to live in fear. We need to free ourselves from it, and we need to know and acknowledge to ourselves that our authentic self is the most beautiful self that we can foster. No mask in this world that we have chosen to carry to hide our authentic self is as powerful, as beautiful as our true authentic self. And once you start this healing work, once those masks start dropping off, your ego identities and your ego realities, you're gonna suddenly, excuse me, realize, oh my god, those masks were just extraordinary heavy. They're heavy, and they're only bringing pain and suffering. And once they start dropping off, first you're gonna be confused, obviously, because you're gonna be thinking, who am I now? Once they start dropping off, your true authentic self is gonna start showing up. And I hope in those moments you're gonna choose your authentic self. You're gonna see how free, actually, and beautiful you choosing your authentic self actually is. Now, the third challenge is that due to childhood trauma, we disconnect from our emotions. We disconnect from our emotions and from our true self. So trauma can cause emotional numbness, emotional numbness or suppression, making it difficult to connect with the true feelings and desires. So when we are in a place in a place where we feel we cannot be our authentic selves, then obviously our feelings reflect that state. So our feelings are not authentic either, and the desires that we are experiencing are not authentic. But what happened in those situations is because we've been so programming by the trauma, neglect, etc. We have adopted belief where we truly believe that those feelings and desires are true for us, that they're actually coming from us. So once we start a healing program process, then we realize that not only our identities are not ours, that our reality isn't ours, but then that our emotions and our beliefs are not ours either, that all of it is just false projection. So to heal from disconnect from our emotions and true self is to reconnect with our true emotions through mindfulness. Through journaling is so important. Through journaling, you're really gonna find, if you dig deep, if you allow yourself to go deep, you're gonna find out who you are authentically. And the somatic healing practices are really, I think, very beneficial because trauma lives in body as well, not just your mind and your energetic field, but in your body as well. So somatic healing practices like breath work or movement therapy, shaking therapy is really good. And allow yourself to feel and process emotions safely. That's really important. So once those emotions, any emotions come your way, you allow yourself to sit with them and to fully process them. And the reason for it is that, as I said, the trauma imprint lives in the body as energetic body, like in your energetic field. And by feeling your emotions fully and completely, um, you are transmuting that energy. That energy does not really want to be in your body, because your body is rejecting it. Really, it's heavy, it's unpleasant, isn't it? It's causing contraction, it's causing even illness, serious illness in some cases. That energy really wants to be rejected by your body and transmuted into light. But it cannot be transmuted if we don't allow ourselves to sit with our energies and sit with our emotions. And once you start sitting with those energies, sitting with those emotions, you're going to feel yourself transmuting them. You don't need to do anything. They're going to transmute themselves naturally by themselves. You're going to be experiencing yourself as a light being, and those that's what we are referring to when we talk about in spirituality, releasing energetic blockages. That's what it is, that's what it refers to. You sit with your emotions. So I hope this video was helpful to you. If you have any questions, any concerns, please drop me a line in the box below, and I'll make sure to come back to you and to answer any questions, any concerns you might have. And I wish you all the best in your healing journey, and go gently, be kind to yourself, and I'll see you very soon. Namaste. Blessings.